Welcome back to another reading and correcting with me, Kindar, the Tiger Writes, and Ty, the Tiger Supervisor. These are where I read a chapter from one of my stories and correct it as I go. If you want to listen to these live, it's every Tuesday morning, 8 a.m. Eastern Time on Twitch and YouTube. And if you want to support me, that is on my Patreon. Today we are doing chapter 81 of The Captain's Heart. With them working opposite shift, it made the one-time Graal knew where to find Toma unavailable unless he wanted to leave Jeremy to sleep alone. The current situation, if it was even one, wasn't enough of an emergency for that. While he knew where Tom's apartment was, his friend wasn't often there when not sleeping, and not always even then. He could call him, arrange a meeting, but he was concerned it would bring a formality to the question he didn't want. Even if it was Tom Jeremy had seen, he wanted this to be two friends, resolving it and not bring the implication of rank, and an arranged meeting would... that feels weird. Even if it was Tom Jeremy had seen, he wanted this to be two friends resolving situation and not bring the implication of rank arranging the meeting would. It meant that tracking down his friend took most of his first shift. Berlin had seen him at the gym, but he had left by the time Graal got there. Miritel thought she'd seen him at the eatery, but then let him know it had been a different male. When he checked with Earther, he learned Tom had just left. He eventually found him at the third leisure alley he knew him to spend time in, at a table with 5 others playing Rushgra. He watched them place their stones down, take away those they overpowered, remix them, and go again until one of them, a rust fire-furred female, exclaimed victory. He had never gained an understanding of the game, except that it was supposed to represent the gods at war. Graal. Tom greeted him as the stone were pushed to the center and mixed, before each took 14. Want to join in? I'll pass. Do you mind if we talk? I'm about to start the next fight. It's about Jer. As much as he hated using hunter tactics and blindsiding him with a piece of information, his friend stiffening told him Jeremy had been right. He kept his expression friendly when Tom looked at him, but he reacted as if he'd been caught swiping his kill. If the others noticed the tension, they ignored it. I guess I'm out of this one. He pushed his stone back to the center pile and stood. What about your heart? He asked as they walked out of the room. Maybe you can tell me why you've been stalking him? I haven't. He closed his muzzle. Why are you letting him keep you from the rest of us? Why am I? He couldn't finish the question. What are you talking about? When's the last time you had sex with someone other than him? I don't know. Quirik, I think. A couple of weeks before you left. Is that when your heart forbid you from having sex with anyone else? What? No, Jeremy wouldn't do that. Then how come you've been turning us all down? Tombstone turned accusatory. I've checked with the others, even asked around at your usual clubs. They haven't seen you there for a while, pretty much since you and your heart started fucking. He almost pointed out that Quirik had been after that, but he realized what his friends was alluding to. Jeremy's an Earther, Tom. They don't have sex the way we do. Really? The anger slipped in. What is it to them? Some holy ceremony to their gods? Because I can't think of anything else that would get you, favored hunter, to hold out on the rest of us. It's not that. The use of that nickname told Gralgiran how angry Tom was. Not that it explained why. His friend knew how he disliked it. Being an efficient hunter and alpha didn't cause his namesake to think better of him. Then what is it? It's the way they get attached. To them, sex means... how is it supposed to explain such a different concept as exclusive pairing? It's going to be easier if I show you. A search told him where the closest available viewing room was, and he locked it out. Should go through Castiliel, but for once he used his rank to ensure he didn't have to deal with delays. Follow me. If you're about to show me a recording of just how good he is to justify not needing the rest of us, his friend said bitterly as they stepped into the viewing room, I don't know that I'm interested. It's not that. He called up the Earther romantic movie he'd selected. A word of warning, this is Earther media. They approach storytelling in a different way than we do. And he sat and motioned for Tom to join him. After a roll of the eyes, he did, and Gralgiran started it. It opened on a panning of an Earther city. He hadn't been able to find out which one with the limited database on Earth he had access to, but he expected a tower in the distance. A thin triangular scaffolding of sort of thing was distinctive enough it would place it for any Earther watching it. Where this took place might even add meaning to the story, although that could be his Kelsirian's mindset overlaying itself. Maybe Earthers didn't care where a story took place. What am I looking for? Tom asked. It's not yet. This is the establishing shot. The tower tells them where it is, he said impatiently. It's established. Earther storytelling, Tom. They take more time with... I don't have that much time to give you, Gralgiran. His ears folded back. Sorry. Earther storytelling is captivating in how different... He took a breath. Sorry. He located the first scene that would help with what he wanted to explain. The Earther male and female meeting. This is a romantic movie. The Earther version of a love ballad. That's where the two destined to be together meet. They aren't recognizing each other. They aren't hearts. I haven't seen any movie depicting hearts. Some come close, but Jer says the closest they have are soulmates, and it's not the same. Okay, so they met. So they meet. So they met. How does that explain why you're letting your heart... I'm not letting him anything, Tom. He hasn't demanded anything. This is about understanding our Earthers' love, since they don't have hearts. Fine, his friend said in resignation. On the screen, the two future mates talked and laughed, entered an eatery. Is anything going to happen? Gralgiran was getting the sense of how his friend felt when he tried to explain how a match of Hrushgora was played. He had no interest in seeing the intricacies of Earther storytelling, the layer of meaning, hints of future details. He moved to another scene, the male close to another female, the feeling of each other clear on their face, and he could now tell their body language. The female from the previous meeting walked in on them. There was shock, outrage, then rage and screaming. What just happened? Tom asked. She walked in on the one she planned on making her mate with another female. She's angry at the betrayal. What betrayal? She didn't attack him, or is it that she's an enemy and he isn't attacking her? It's neither. It's a betrayal of the exclusive relationship she perceived them to be in. He also agreed to that. He also agreed that he's in it, and this is a misunderstanding that will take most of the movie to resolve, but he could see it lost his friend. Earthers build relationship on exclusivity. A male and a female. If one mate dies, it's acceptable for the other to find a new partner. If they agree to dissolve the relationship, then they can build new ones. But they are always one male and one female and their cubs. He didn't bring up the conflict of cubs from previous relationship. Earther's odd concept of ownership when it came to cubs was still baffling to him. Why? Gralgiran shrugged. The movies he'd studied hadn't shed light on that. But it is the way they are. The movie isn't an exact representation of a relationship. They take liberties for the sake of the storytelling, but it's the one that is the least unrealistic among those I've seen. Tom shook his head in confusion. I don't get what that has to do with you. Jer's an Earther. That's all he knows. He gets us he's among Kelsirians now, doesn't he? That doesn't change who he is, what he's been taught by society, the one that screwed up his mind. I don't think it's related. There are no indication of ultrasonics in any of the movies I've studied. This is a representation of how their relationships are built. That's not what I mean. Why would he care if that's how they are? He's here with us. He's alone, Tom. A lone Earther among us, and the only thing he has to hold on to is me, the relationship we have. You have explained things to him, haven't you? He's your heart. Nothing can change that. He'll always love you. He doesn't understand that. Earthers don't have gods, as far as Jeremy knows, and Quirik didn't come across anything to indicate the contrary. There is nothing in his experience to explain what we have, to provide meaning to what we are. All he has is that. He motioned to the screen, where the female stormed off, leaving the male devastated. Wait, they were still fighting? There was an attempt at explaining. It failed. She's too angry to listen. He took a breath. If I do anything to make Jer feel like that, he's not going to have any. He's got no one to fall back on and help him. We're all Kelsirians. We're all a representation of the betrayal I'd commit. Tom stared at him. And that's enough to push us away forever? He placed a hand on his friend's thigh. Not forever. Hopefully he'll come to realize. Just tell him that you having sex with your friends isn't a betrayal. It isn't that simple. He's got a Kelsirian heart. He'll understand. But he has an Earther's upbringing. That's powerful too. And because of that, you're the one who has to suffer? Gralgiran snorted. Who says I'm suffering? Tom startled, then stammered an attempt at something that didn't reach fully formed sound. He's that satisfying? He finally asked in astonishment. Earther's stamina, he replied. That and the way his cock is shaped makes for very satisfying sex. You aren't going to change your mind, are you? Tom, he's my heart. Eventually he'll come to understand nothing can tear us apart, but until then, it's my responsibility to make sure he doesn't suffer. All right. He could tell his friend wasn't happy about his decision, probably didn't really understand the depth of the difference between Earther and Kelsirian's relationship, but he'd respect him. And that concludes chapter 81 of The Captain's Heart. If you are enjoying this, please leave a like. If you want to know when the next chapter will be up, subscribe and hit the bell. If you want to read this story, it is up on Ream Story. If you want to listen to this live, it's every Tuesday morning, 8 a.m. Eastern Time on Twitch and YouTube. Links are in the notes. And with that, I shall wish you a good day.